If you have even one empty pot, one raised bed, or one sunny patch of dirt sitting unused right now, you are about to find out it's costing you a free harvest. Not a small one either. 17 of them. Most people believe gardening season winds down once the tomatoes are in and the spring lettuce has bolted. That belief is the single biggest reason American gardens sit half empty from July through the first snowfall. The truth is the opposite. The soil under your feet right now is the warmest it will be all year, and warm soil is rocket fuel for seeds. What takes 2 weeks to sprout in April can break the surface in 4 days right now. There are 17 vegetables you can plant this week. Several of them are easier on the back and the knees than anything you grew in spring. Several of them actually get healthier and sweeter for you the colder it gets. And one of them on this list has a hard, unforgiving deadline. Miss it by even 10 days, and that vegetable simply will not be ready before the cold shuts the season down. So before we go further, if you garden, hit subscribe right now and turn on notifications, because today's list alone could change how your whole fall harvest looks. And we publish a new wellness and garden video like this every single week. Now, let's get into it. Starting with the one almost everyone gives up on by July. 1. Cucumbers. By the middle of summer, most cucumber vines planted back in May are tired, spotted with powdery mildew, and barely producing. The fix isn't more fertilizer, it's a second planting. Seeds dropped into warm soil right now germinate in just 4 to 6 days, and the new vines hit their stride in September, after the worst of the August heat and disease pressure has passed. Most varieties go from seed to harvest in about 2 months, so a planting today means cucumbers on the counter well before the season ends. For anyone managing joint pain or a bad back, this is also the easiest cucumber crop you'll ever pick. Train the vines up a simple trellis, a tomato cage turned on its side, or even a section of fencing leaned against a wall. Vertical cucumbers hang at standing height. No kneeling, no digging through leaves on the ground, and the improved airflow keeps mildew from taking hold in the first place. 2. Zucchini has a villain, and it isn't disease. It's the squash vine borer, a moth that lays its eggs at the base of the stem in late spring. Plant zucchini in July instead, and in most of the country, that moth has already finished its egg-laying cycle for the season. Your new plant grows up almost entirely unbothered. Seeds sprout in less than a week in this heat, and the first squash appear in about 6 to 7 weeks. Pick them small, 6 to 8 inches, and the plant keeps pushing out more instead of slowing down. 3. Bush beans. A single spring planting of beans gives you a few good weeks and then quits. A July planting is a completely different experience. Beans sown now germinate faster than any spring sowing, mature in under 2 months, and ripen right as September brings in cooler, sweeter air. The only trick is keeping that seedbed moist. A light scattering of straw over the row holds the moisture in through the hottest afternoons. Pull it back the moment seedlings appear. 4. Radishes. Most people think they dislike radishes because every radish they've ever eaten was bitter and hollow. That's a timing problem, not a flavor problem. A radish that matures during peak summer heat turns sharp and pithy almost overnight. Wait until the back half of July to sow, and the roots mature in cooler late summer air instead. Mild, crisp, and genuinely pleasant. They're ready in 3 to 4 weeks, so mark your calendar and pull them the moment they hit size. A radish left even a few days too long goes from delicious to inedible fast. Quick gut check before we keep going. Drop a comment right now and tell me what zone you garden in. It helps me know exactly who's watching, and it helps everyone else in the comments who's gardening in your same climate. 5. Lettuce. Lettuce shuts down and turns bitter once temperatures consistently climb past 80 degrees, a defense mechanism called bolting. The workaround is simple. Plant it somewhere it gets afternoon shade, tucked beside a taller crop or along a fence line, and look for seed packets labeled slow bolt or heat tolerant. which most garden centers carry. Harvest the outer leaves and leave the center growing, and one planting can feed you for weeks. 6. Carrots. Carrot seed sits barely under the surface, and in July heat, that top layer of soil can dry out within hours of watering, which is why so many people swear carrots just won't come up in summer. Lay a board or a piece of burlap over the row after sowing to trap moisture, and check underneath every morning. The instant you see green, pull the covering off. Choose a shorter, stockier variety like Danvers or Nantes for summer sowing, and you'll be pulling sweet, cold-kissed carrots by October. 7. Kale. This is where things get genuinely interesting for anyone paying attention to their health. Kale is loaded with calcium, vitamin K, and antioxidants that support bone strength and joint health, both front-of-mind concerns for older gardeners. And here's the part most people never learn. Once frost hits, kale converts its stored starches into sugar as a survival response, which means the leaves you cut in November are noticeably sweeter and more tender than anything that plant grew all summer. Plant it now. Let it ride out August and September, and let the first frost do the rest. 8. Swiss chard. While most greens are wilting under the heat, chard just keeps producing, straight through summer and well into the first light frosts of fall. It's also genuinely two vegetables in one. The leaves cook in under 2 minutes, almost exactly like spinach. The stems need several minutes longer, so chop them apart and cook the stems first. The rainbow varieties with stems in red, yellow, and orange are some of the prettiest things you'll grow all year. And chard is rich in magnesium and potassium, two minerals that play a real role in supporting healthy blood pressure. 9. New Zealand spinach. Regular spinach simply cannot handle July. The heat and long days push it to bolt within days. New Zealand spinach is an entirely different plant that tastes similar in cooked dishes, but actually thrives in summer heat without bolting at all. Soak the seed overnight to speed up germination, then keep harvesting the tender tips. The more you pick, the more it branches and produces. 10. Beets. Canned beets gave an entire country the wrong idea about what beets actually taste like. A beet pulled fresh, the moment its shoulder hits 2 to 3 inches across, is earthy and naturally sweet. Nothing like the soft metallic version from a can. Planted now, beets mature in roughly 8 to 10 weeks, landing right in that sweet late September window, when cool air brings out their best flavor. The Chioggia variety, with its pink and white candy cane rings inside, is worth growing just to see. 11. Arugula. Store-bought arugula starts losing its signature peppery bite within a day or two of being cut, which is why most people only know the flat, slightly bitter version from a plastic clamshell. Grow your own and harvest it small, 2 to 3 inches, and you get a bright, clean, peppery green that bears almost no resemblance to what you've bought before. It regrows from the same roots within about 2 weeks, so a small staggered planting keeps you in fresh arugula straight through fall. 12. Turnips. Turnips suffer from the same problem as beets. Most people have only ever eaten an old, overgrown one. Pull a turnip at golf ball size, and it's crisp, mild, and almost sweet, far closer to a radish than the sharp vegetable most people remember. Even better, the leafy tops are ready to eat almost 3 weeks before the roots are, giving you 2 harvests from 1 packet of seed. The Hakurei variety in particular has converted more skeptics than any other. 13. Parsnips. This is the one most American gardeners have never grown, and it deserves a spot right alongside carrots in every fall garden. Parsnips need a long season, roughly 4 months from seed to harvest, which means right now, in July, is essentially your last realistic window to plant them for a proper fall and winter crop. The payoff is worth the patience. Parsnips left in the ground through 2 to 4 weeks of frosty weather convert their starches into sugar, turning genuinely sweet, nutty, and almost caramel-like when roasted. Leave them mulched in the ground, and you can keep harvesting them well into winter, pulling out a fresh root anytime you need one. For anyone watching their carbohydrate intake, parsnips also bring a meaningful dose of fiber and potassium to the table, making them a smarter starch swap than a plain potato. If you're finding this useful, do me a favor and tap that like button. It genuinely helps this video reach more people who are gardening in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, and could use exactly this kind of plain-spoken advice. Now let's finish strong. 14. Collard greens. Collards are about as tough as a vegetable gets, hardier than kale, more cold-tolerant than chard, and at home in nearly every American climate, from the deep south up through the mid-Atlantic and Pacific coast. Frost doesn't hurt them. It improves them through that same starch-to-sugar conversion that sweetens kale. Space the plants generously since they get large, and harvest the lower leaves first. The plant will keep producing from the center for months. 15. Scallions, green onions. If everything else on this list feels like a project, scallions are the reward. Push seed into warm soil today, and you'll see sprouts within a week to 10 days, with a full harvest in about 2 months. They take up almost no space. A single narrow strip along the edge of a bed is enough to keep a kitchen stocked. Snip the green tops with scissors an inch above the soil instead of pulling the whole plant, and you'll get 2 or even 3 cuttings from the same planting before fall is over. 16. Broccoli. Broccoli is one of the most overlooked fall crops, and it happens to be one of the better vegetables on this entire list for long-term health. It's rich in sulforaphane and vitamin K, compounds increasingly studied for their role in supporting healthy inflammation levels and bone density, both things that matter more with every passing decade. Broccoli actually performs better in a fall planting than a spring one. The cooler weather it matures into produces tighter, sweeter heads with none of the bitterness summer heat causes. Most varieties need 10 to 12 weeks to mature, so getting transplants or seed in the ground now lines up perfectly with the first cool nights of autumn. And it isn't a one-and-done harvest. Once you cut the main head, the plant keeps sending up smaller side shoots for weeks afterward. 17. Brussels sprouts. And here is the deadline. Brussels sprouts need close to 3 months to mature, and there is no shortcut around that. Plant them this week, and you're looking at a harvest in October or November. Wait until August, and in most of the country, they simply will not finish before the first hard frost ends the season. This is the one vegetable on this list where "I'll get to it next week" genuinely means missing it entirely. Plant now, and the reward is worth the wait. A frost-sweetened, nutty stalk of fresh Brussels sprouts, cut straight from your own backyard on Thanksgiving morning, while everyone else is working from a bag out of the freezer aisle. 17 vegetables, and not one excuse left to let your garden sit empty between now and the first snow. The soil is warm, the days are still long enough to finish what you plant, and a few of these, kale, parsnips, collards, Brussels sprouts, are only going to taste better the colder it gets. You don't need to plant all 17. Pick the one that excites you most, and start there today. Then come back down to the comments and tell me which one you chose, and what zone you're gardening in. I read every single comment, and so does everyone else following along with this list. If this helped you, the best thing you can do is hit subscribe and share it with another gardener who thinks the season is already over, because it isn't, not even close. See you in the next one.